Hello everybody, it's Tracy from Tea Plays Nice, Ravelry and Instagram, and Ocean Creations UK on Etsy. Welcome to the podcast. This is the third podcast. Sorry I didn't record last weekend, I was working. As you know, I'm a shift worker, so I cannot have a specific day where I record the podcast, although things are going to change. I'm super excited, and I was going to keep it to the end, but I think I'll share this with you now. As you know, I've been doing clinical support team work for a long time, which meant I could go on all the wards. And I was approached the other week by the matron of the phlebotomy team I was doing a long-term placement with. She's also the matron for district nursing, and she said to me, would you be interested in a permanent position within one of my teams? With the system in the UK, we're on a banding system in the NHS, and I basically, because I haven't been working for them very long, and I was on the lowest banding, which I was quite happy, doing my work, doing what I loved. And she turned around to me and said, you will actually jump up a banding, so go from band 2 to band 3 because of your skills base, but it technically means I've accepted a higher paid job with 1 day a week less hours, so my money basically stays the same. It might drop just a tiny bit, but we get a mileage allowance, so I can pick it up with that if I'm busy working. Sorry, my fringe is going. So yeah, and it means so I'm basically on the same pay, but 1 day a week less. So my life-work balance is on the way to being something more acceptable to myself and my husband, and that means I can concentrate a little bit more on recording a podcast more often, dyeing more often, and my new little enterprise. I'm just seeing if I'm good enough to do the designing side as well, because I've always loved my knitting, and I thought if I'm doing something, I need to know the ins and outs of what I'm doing, and I need to know quite technical things about what I'm doing. I've always been the same. When I was paper crafting, I enjoyed paper crafting, and then I had to learn how the products worked. I then was able to teach people how the products worked, and I designed some paper craft products for a company. But I need to, what I'm trying to say is, whenever I do anything, I need to do it to the best of my ability. I need to get the best out of myself for me to get the full enjoyment out of it. So, that's my little bit of exciting news rework. I'm really quite proud of the fact that I've been A, offered promotion so quickly, but B, that it's come with more suitable hours for my lifestyle. I'm one of these people, you have to work to make a living, but to be honest, 37.5 hours a week does tire me out. But then that's a whole different ball game where I need to assess my lifestyle as well, so watch this space on that again. So without any further ado, let's get past all that. I'd like to welcome returning viewers, and anybody that's popped along for the first time, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate the time people take out of their busy lives to sit and watch the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. I am trying to get a little bit better with show notes and things, and I am going to try and just get a few things done basically. So last week on the podcast I mentioned maybe possibly doing a cal, and if anybody wanted to reach out with a prize. I did have a lovely lady, Jibbyroo Sews, oh dear, I will link it on the show notes in the Ravelry group of Ocean Creations UK, formerly Tea Plays Nice podcast. And I will also try and put a link either on the video here or down below in the below bar. A lovely lady has got in touch. She has posted a bag. I have received the bag. Haven't opened it yet because it's so beautifully wrapped. But I might have to open one little end to do a sneaky peek, because my plan is to actually dye up some yarn to match the lady's bag to do as a giveaway in a up and coming cow. So hopefully we'll start doing the cow. I'm planning to do the cow maybe April time, just to get people to be aware of the podcast, to be aware of the group, to give people time to sort yarns out and things. So that is up and coming, and thank you so much for sending that bag. And I'm really sorry that your name's just escaped me for the moment. I was going to bring everything up and do it properly, and as in my usual style, I have forgotten. But I will put a link to you on the show notes and in the down bar below. Thank you again. So, what else to talk about? So that's the cow. Oh, I'm actually joined in a couple of swaps and shares coming along. I've actually, on the Instagram, I think you've got something like 3 days left to get involved in this if you want to. I think it's called the Fibre Share on Instagram, and again I'll try and link it in show notes for you for those that are interested. It's basically a international swap where you get buddied up with somebody and you basically have to send them a little gift and you get a gift, but it can be any fibre related hobby as far as I'm aware. So I think it's yarn, I think it's even tapestry. Excuse me, I'm very remiss on this, but you get the idea. Just pop along, I'll link it and you can look into it, and we'll do that. So I've signed up for that one. I've also been fortunate enough and very happy to take part in the Grocery Girls Spring Fling. Again, it's an international swap. You could choose international or domestic on that one. I went for international, so I'm hoping to have a couple of surprises for my swap partner on that one. So, and I know they did say about they're doing the spring fling, and then they will be doing another swap later on if you missed out on this one. So I'm quite excited to be taking part in that one. So what else? Other exciting news, I have uploaded some more yarn into the oceancreationsuk.etsy.com shop that I discussed on the last podcast. I've actually got the colourways to show you now because they were drying last time we spoke. So if I get in, shall I get into them now or no? I'll do the works in progress and everything first, and I'll keep that for a bit later. But I have a finished object to show you, and it is a little bit of a shoppy thing as well because it's my own pattern, which I have released late last night on Ravelry, and after some each selling platform has their own rules and regulations on pricing and tax and things, and I like to be legal, honest and true in everything I do. So I was trying to figure out a price on taking into account PayPal's charges and Ravelry's charges, and an acceptable price for myself for the work that was put in on designing the socks, knitting the socks, typing up the pattern as a PDF that I hope you can understand. I've tried to follow a format that I've seen a couple of sock knitters, designers do. Haven't copied their work. I've just literally copied the format so I know it's an acceptable way of writing a pattern for you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Little Steps Socks. Okay, so you can see basically it's a 2x2 rib, then you've got your textured pattern. I have partridge heel and a decreased toe. I knit these in the medium for myself, which was a 64 count, and it worked quite nicely. The pattern actually comes in small, medium and large. Small is the 56, medium is the 64 and large is 72 stitch count. Again, I knitted them using 2.5mm needles because I like a little bit of loose. Well, it's not loose, but it's just the preferred material for myself. So that's what I've put on the pattern. But obviously for loose knitters, you can go down in needle size until you find the suitable tension gauge for yourself. Because I know a lot of you out there are sock knitters and you've got your own pattern, you know what you want, you just need a little bit of inspiration on pattern. It's a nice effect, it goes up over the leg. This was knitted in my Ocean Creations UK Pilgrim base, and it's Eeyore. Sure is a pretty colour, guess I'll just have to get used to it. Reference. The Eeyore reference, sorry. That's available at the moment, which is a fingering superwash wool 75% and 25% nylon. So as I say, that is available on Ravelry as we speak. So I did a giveaway on Instagram last week of one of my skeins of yarn that I'm going to talk about in a moment. It was the trial skein actually, and that is posted off and winging its way to Lone Star Knitter in Texas, who was lucky enough to win that skein. I hope she feels lucky enough to win that skein. So on that vein, I'd like to offer up a free pattern of my Little Steps socks to somebody that watches the podcast. All you have to do is pop across to the Ravelry group. It has to be the Ravelry group because, like everybody said, it's so much easier to keep tally. So if you go across to the Ravelry group, and I'll open up a little thread, Little Steps Socks giveaway, or actually there is a thread in there about my first pattern. So if you just comment on that, I'll pick a winner in the next week or two. Okay, probably 2 weeks to give everybody enough chance to get in and see that. So yeah, that'll be a little pattern giveaway for you all. So that's that one. So that's my finished object for this week. Works in progress. I have been working on my Kate Davies inspired by Islay pattern Finlagan cardigan, which she knitted for her wedding. Last week I had about that much done. Because I've been working more or less non-stop on the socks and working my full-time job and dyeing yarn, I haven't got much done, but I'm now up. I finished the rib, okay, and it's all knitted in one from the bottom up. So that's the front, the back ribbon done. And I'm hoping it's going to be a nice, I've knitted it, I'm hoping the neck size up. So it's a little bit looser on me than what it is in the pattern picture. And I'm knitting that on Lima, Drops Lima yarn. And that is all that's left of the first 50 gram ball after the ribbing was done. And I'm knitting it on, oh, get me, I'm doing all this proper today. I'm doing it on a 3.25mm needle for my ribbing. I think I need, yeah, I do need to go up a needle size to 3.5 now to start the patterning and the pockets. With Kate Davies design, she gives you a gauge and she actually doesn't give you a needle size. So she says using needles to get gauge. So basically you have to do something I never do, and that's knit a swatch. So I did do my swatch for that, but I ripped it back out so I didn't waste yarn. Not that knitting a gauge swatch is ever wasting yarn, because you're actually saving yarn in the long term. I'm just lazy and don't like doing it. So that's that. The only other work in progress I've got is another knit one pair of socks, design one pair of socks, and another one is in my head. I've got a little bit of a queue in my head at the moment. I'm trying to write them down. Now this I'm knitting on, again it's my Pilgrim base from Ocean Creations, but this is the Have a Fab Celebration colourway, which was inspired by Fab Ice Lollies when I was a young girl. So I don't know if you can, sorry about the sun coming in the window, but it's the only way I can get any kind of light in suitable that's not too dark. So that's what it looks like now, caked up. And I've started knitting it, and on these socks I'm knitting again on my 2.5mm Zings, Knit Pro Zings. And I can show you them because I've just literally done the ribbing. And I'm just about to start working the pattern as I would like. So that's one side. So it knits up quite marley pink and white, and then on the other side you can just see the chocolates, and I think there are some of the sprinkles. You can just see some blue sprinkles in amongst. I don't know if you can actually on the monitor, but there are just some sprinkles coming in as well. So that's how the fab's knitting up. I'll be able to show you a little bit better when I get into the sock a little bit more. So that is another design that I'm working on. So that's all my works in progress at the moment. I'm quite interested in joining a knit along, because I do like the company of joining in with other knitters. If anybody can suggest maybe a shawl knit along. That is just about to start, because what I would like to do is dye up some yarn specifically for it. So if there's any budding designers out there, or any designers out there that are due to release a shawl, please let me know. Or if any of you are joining in a cow, I'd like to have a look around and see what's going on out there. I mean, I watch the podcasts that are going around, but I always seem a little bit of a step behind, because that's just me. And talking about designing, I had to get a little resource book, and I went onto Amazon the other day and I found 750 knitting stitches, and it is quite good actually, because it's got the basic knit and purl stitches, it's got some lace stitches. It's basically set out like that. You see the stitch, and underneath it gives you the worked over how many stitches, and then it gives you the instructions to incorporate into any designs that you're doing. If anybody can, I do quite like it, but I don't know if I have one book whether I've got all the patterns. So if anybody else out there has a suggestion for stitch pattern books, or even designing books, I'd like to know how to start designing shawls, because I'd love to design shawls. I don't want to be just socks. I can't see me ever designing garments, but I would like to design shawls maybe. So if anybody's got any kind of information they can give me, or point me in the right direction of resources for that, whether it be, I think it's either going to have to be a book, online tutorials, or something like that, because time's limited. I'm not sure I'll be able to get to classes to get them done. I know there's nothing near me, not to design. There are knitting classes, and in the wonderful shop that is the Wool Palette out on the Broadway, but there are no actual designing type classes, and I just would like to have a go at designing shawls maybe. But then saying that, I could maybe, if it was a weekend thing, I could maybe go and book and do it that way. But also in this book, sorry I went on the sidetrack there, they do teach you how a little bit of colour work, which I was quite surprised with. I wasn't expecting that at all. So you've got some colour work patterns there, which I think is very good. For the money, I think it cost me, because I got it brand new, with postage, I think it was about £23. So yeah. So that's 750 knitting stitches, the Ultimate Knit Stitch Bible. And it's, it doesn't say, I don't think it says who helped to collaborate or provided the swatches. So you've got your contents. It does tell you how to cast on and everything. Knit stitch, purl stitch, bind off, increasing, decreasing, joining in a new colour on a knit row and on a purl row, joining in a new colour in the middle, eliminating ends, how to read charts. There's some edge stitches, it gives you the abbreviations. There's a couple of pages on abbreviations and what they mean, so you can write them into your patterns. So all in all, I'm very, very pleased with this book. Ah, there we go. It does say acknowledgements in the back, Tracy. So it does. There is a list of thank yous to the knitters and the chart illustrators and technical editors and that type of thing. So they do actually say thank you to the knitters of the swatches. So that is my new play at the moment. I'm a little bit obsessed with looking through that. So podcast I've been watching this week, I've been Knittingden, Grocery Girls. I managed to catch Sue of Legacy Knits on Periscope, not live, but I've watched it on like catch up type thing. Sockmatician, 2 Tangled Skeins, Diary of a Yarn Snob. Now, Diary of a Yarn Snob Jules asked a question on our podcast yesterday about who were the first podcasters that you can remember from when you first started watching podcasts prior to Katie of Inside number 23. Prior to the Grocery Girls. I've mentioned them a couple of times, some of the ones I've been watching from the beginning a couple of times, including Kenneth the Turtle Knitter I watched, and she happened to mention 2 Tangled Skein, Sue and Lynn, and she said no, they've been joined by Selma, But I can remember watching that when Kerry was part of the podcast. I'm sure the lady was called Kerry. She had a pug dog. But she moved. She moved away, I think, and she stopped recording with them, and then they recorded a little while on their own, and then Selma joined them. But I loved the podcast with the original 3, with just the 2, and now with Selma, and I do enjoy watching that podcast. Their giggling is infectious at times. So yeah, that was one of the ones that I watched from the very beginning. Of course, I've mentioned Knittingden, and of course Tilly Trout. And local to me, I did watch Ethel and Di, but now it's Goth Hearts. I watched that one in and out. So yeah, I've tended to be watching the ones I subscribed to down the side, and I have caught up with a couple of new ones. Emma Potter. I don't know what her podcast is called, but I've not subscribed yet, but I will be subscribing. Beautiful Things are newer ones to me. So there are quite a few out there. Sarah Gate. Sarah, I'm really sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your Instagram name. Gatetrue. And it is something Sisters. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten what it's called, but it struck a chord because it's the same relationship me and my brother have. It's like annoying siblings type thing. So yeah, I've watched that one recently. So, but I digress. So that is technically another entry into the Box of Socks cow with Kristen of Vullenvine Yarngasm. So now it's only February and I have 3 pairs of socks knitted since January. Now I know some of you were saying you showed us socks the other week that you're knitting 2 pairs of socks, 4 at a time. Yeah, I haven't done anything to them yet. I should do, and I'm hoping to maybe get some work done on them. I really do need to get them off the needles because I was hoping to do a box of socks for myself, because that's the whole point of the box of socks. And I was hoping to do a box of socks for hubby. I'm winning at the moment. Hubby's not. I'm winning at the moment. Just purely selfish knitting. But it's not, because I'm designing. It's work. Okay, so that's that. Just a quick what's gone into the shop this week. So I've made up I've made up a set of stitch markers that are in the shop, and these are stitch markers and a progress keeper. Okay, so you can see there you've got your larger progress keeper, and then you've got 4 little matching stitch markers. I think that's Purple Princess. So they're in the shop. One of them's in the shop. I've actually managed to get a shop themed progress keeper, which is the little anchor. So that's that one in the shop. And then all I've got left to talk about really is the yarn that I was discussing last week. It is going to be a short podcast this week because it's my day off. I want to get a little bit of dyeing done at some point, hopefully today. But I also want to spend some time with my husband, and I've got shopping to do, grocery shopping to do. So the first one I'm going to talk about is this. I've already said I did an Instagram giveaway for the trial of this. This is I Ain't Looking Forward to the Journey Home Either. So you can see it's the greys, the black speckle and the turquoisey blue. So that's what it looks like in the skein. This is how they came out of the pot. I have not reskeined. So you can see, if I undo it, you've got your greys, your blues. You get the general idea. So that is on my Smeaton's Tower base, which is 80%, sorry I've got to look because it's on my notes, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere and 10% nylon, 350 metres, 380 yards per 100 gram. So yeah, that is I Ain't Looking Forward to the Journey Home Either. Okay, on this one you do get some lovely black specks going on, and the dark blue of that. So I likey that one. The problem I'm having is I like all the skeins. Or let me rephrase that. Yeah, I'm bound to like them because I dyed them, but no, I'm not necessarily going to like them as I dyed them because some colours I don't like. I'm happy with all the skeins that I'm dyeing at the moment, and that's leading to a problem. I want to keep one of every skein. Do other dyers do that? Do you keep one of everything you do just for yourself? Let me know. So that's I Ain't Looking Forward to the Journey Home either. Then we've got Late Night Party in the Sushi House. Named basically because of the salmon and the watery colour, the teal colour. So we've got the salmon, the teal that goes into light teal and speckles, and then we've got some white and speckles and some pale grey. It's almost like a pearly grey, I would say. It's not pearlised, but it's that pale grey. So that's Late Night Party in the Sushi House. It was going to be called Drunken Party in the Sushi House, but I don't think that was, people might not have liked it. So you start with the pale grey, yeah, grey colour. Well, it's not even, I don't know how to describe it. It's a lovely soft colour. Then we go slowly into the salmon colourways. As we go, coming out of the salmon, we go into a speckled mishmash of the grey, the salmon and a tealy colour. And then we go into the teals. And it's all different shades of teals in there. So that's Late Night Party in the Sushi House. And again, that's on my Smeaton's Tower base. 80% superwash, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. I'm so rubbish at scaling these things up. So there you go. That's that one. But you can see how, as I've reskeined it, it looked quite dark and peachy on one end and tealy, but on the other end it's gone really like soft, and so yes, very happy, like that one. And then I've got on my Pilgrim base, which is the 75% superwash and the 25% nylon, I've got Reggae. That's what it looks like in the skein. As you can see, you've got some really dark colours, but some really vibrant colours coming through. Sorry if I'm moving too quickly. So, but if I unravel it, you can see more or less on half the skein we have got some really bright yellows and greens mixed into reds. There's some cream in there. It goes to a brown in there, so you've got a really quite, can you see that? Yeah, you can. So as you can see, you've got greens there, reds there, yellows there, whites there, blues there, yeah. So you can kind of like get the idea of where it went on that side. And then I dyed the whole skein like that, and then I over dyed half with a, it was going to be a darkish grey, but it's oh, it's come out, oh, I love it. It's come out this colour. So it's almost like an over dye of a greeny grey. But it's just made all, you can still see the hues from the light there. The light is really helping show up the colours actually. So you've got pale greens, you've got the teals, you've got the reds, greens. It's just come out lovely. The light is really doing well there. So that is Reggae. And as I say, that's on my Pilgrim base. And that's a fingering. So my Smeaton's is a fingering and that's a fingering, and it's just different mix-ups of content basically. So that is that one. Now I was going to, something popped into my head then, I thought, oh, I must say that. And it's gone. I'm sure it'll come to me after the podcast, but I really cannot think what it is. No. Oh well. I'll have to, if I remind, I'll have to put it in the show notes, or if I remember, I'll put it in the show notes. But failing that, it'll probably pop back into my little brain for next time. So, yeah, I think that's, I can't. What am I like? Oh, I do know what it was. It was talking about the shop, and I've always been fascinated with people that can dye self-striping yarn. So I've set hubby a task. He's making me a warping board, a warping frame, so I can make longer skeins, so I can get the self-striping going. I might be falling down a rabbit hole, or I might be making the biggest mistake of a newbie dyer. But bless his heart, he's given it a good crack. He just needs a little bit of advice at the moment. We found some plans online and I've looked into it, and it's kind of like, yeah, I think that's it. So watch this space on that one as well. So hopefully, oh, the sun's just gone in behind a cloud. It looks like it might rain now actually. Just as we finish and we're going to go out. Cracking. So yeah. Yeah, so hubby is trying to do me a warping board so I can maybe play in self-striping yarn. I'll try and keep you posted on Instagram and on here about the progress on that. But as I say, all these yarns are now available in the shop, along with Fab. Have a Fab Celebration is in the shop. Jibbyroo is in the shop. 100 Acre Wood is in the shop, and I think there's one left of the eel on the fingering. There is an eel on a double knit base as well. So that's in the shop. I've got some stitch markers in the shop. May or may not be venturing down the bag thing. I'm not quite sure. My sewing machine's there all set up ready to go. I've got some zips. But apart from a lovely bag that Denise sent me from the Knittingden way back when with my name on it, which I will show you next time, from Kiki Boo Bags, and a bag I made myself, and I had a little Notions bag sent to me from another lovely podcaster once. I'm not a knitting bag girl. I don't have them. I don't. It's not that I don't like them. I do love them. I love them. I love all of them. I crave for a little Bobbins bag. I crave for a Miss Grocery Girls, Mrs. Brown's bag. I do like them. I do want them. But then I see a squirrel, and it's called yarn, and it's kind of like bag yarn, bag yarn, bag yarn. Yarn wins out most times. I'm sorry, but I really do wish to support, and of course the lovely lady that sent me a bag. I need to get on that, her website, her Etsy shop, and have a good look. I will put the link. So bag purchases might need to happen, because carrier bags just ain't attractive to carry your knitting around in, are they? Because that's the thing I tend to do. Or as my husband says, you don't use a bag, you just leave it where you are. I don't know if you've got it in your house. Sorry, I'm rambling now. I don't know if you've got it in your house, because the children have grown up, left home. They will probably say it was like it before they left home. You have your spot on the couch, on the sofa. Husband sits there, I sit there, and I've got my book that I'm reading normally, and I've got my knitting beside me normally, and I've got downstairs knitting and I've got upstairs knitting for when I go to bed, and it just stays there. And he said you just leave it there for when you want to pick it up again. My house is not untidy, my house is not dirty. Although at the moment, looking around this room, I tidied it up a while ago and it's just a bit of a mess. But all that will change when my hours change in work. So I'm waffling now, so I need to go. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please give me a thumbs up. Please spread the word if you do enjoy what you see. And I'd be happy to do this again. More often when my hours change. Happy, happy girl. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.